Good day, everyone. This will be the report of Group 10. I am Seti Ango, and our topic for this presentation is all about globalization and management. Before we start, let us first define what is globalization. When we say globalization is an interconnected word which means the relationship of individuals, government, companies to other worldwide. It's driven by international trade and investment leads to something exchange services across the national borders. That means it is the process of increasing interconnectedness among countries through the exchange of goods, services, information, and people. Now, because of that, it connects businesses, cultures, and governments worldwide, influencing economies, societies, and the environment. Globalization, migration of people, individuals move across borders worldwide for work, education, and various other reasons, contributing to cultural exchange and interconnectedness. This means people also move to other countries for jobs, school, or a better life. Like for example, many nurses from the Philippines work in hospitals in the United States. This kind of movement helps spread culture, ideas, and skills between countries. Because of this, globalization affects how countries grow, how people live, and even the environment. These are some examples. Number 1, a smartphone might be designed in the US, manufactured in China, using parts from South Korea, Japan, and Germany, and sold worldwide. This is the direct result of globalization, exchanging trade and cooperation in terms of political by agreement of money loan by the other country worldwide. This shows how different countries work together to make one product. The design, parts, and assembly all come from different places. Without globalization, this kind of cooperation wouldn't be possible. Number 2 example, fast food chains like McDonald's is an American company but it has over 100 countries adopting their menus or branch. McDonald's is an American brand, but it changes its menu depending on the country. For example, in India, they serve vegetarian burgers. This shows how globalization spreads businesses while respecting local cultures. Number 3 example is the online shopping like Amazon. People in one country can buy products from other country. Sellers and buyers are connected globally through the internet. This is the example of how technology and globalization work together. Even if we live far apart, we can easily buy and sell things internationally. This makes the world more connected. We often think that globalization always has positive effects, but it also has negative sides. Now, let's learn more about both the positive and negative impacts. Globalization offers numerous benefits, including increased economic growth, cultural exchange, and technological advancements. However, it also presents challenges such as income and the inequality, environmental degradation, and the loss of cultural diversity. Again, globalization helps countries grow by improving trade and technology. We also get to learn about different cultures and businesses have more opportunities to expand. But at the same time, it can cause problems. For example, some people are much more than others. Pollution can increase and traditional ways of life might disappear. So when we talk about globalization, we need to think carefully about both the benefits and the challenges. To continue the presentation, Mr. Jade Baay will now discuss the key aspects of globalization.
I am Jade Baay from Group 10. The next topic is about key aspect of globalization. I have here 4 examples of aspect globalization. Number 1 is economic globalization. Defines international trade and global markets and its increased trade and economic growth and improved land and air transportation. The next one is cultural globalization. Spread of music, food, fashion, and media, and also exposing and acceptance of different perspective and relations between other countries. The next one is technological globalization. Sharing of innovations like the internet or smartphones, alam naman natin kung gaano kaimportante ang communication at mas pinadali pa sa panahon ngayon dahil sa mga advanced technology comparing to the previous century na it takes a days or weeks bago mo matanggap ang mensahe. So, it shows us how important the technological globalization. The next one is political globalization. International agreements and corporations is one of the important aspects of globalization. One of the main reasons is interdependent global political landscape.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Annalie Keida Tugan, and I will be presenting how government influence competitiveness. The government influence in competitiveness and globalization is significant. Their policies and actions directly influence a country's ability to attract investment and participate in international trade and innovation. Here's how governments influence competitiveness. First, trade policies and trade agreements. The governments negotiate and implement trade agreements by doing bilateral, then reduce taxes and opening up new markets for domestic industries. Export promotions. The governments often implement policies to encourage exports, such as providing subsidies or direct payment or advance in making marketing to domestic firms. Business regulations is the ease of doing business influenced by regulations getting or obtaining permits, enforcing contracts, and resolving insolvency or settle the debts before due date. Transportation and communication. Government invests in roads, ports to be accessible in any land transportations, and communication networks to facilitate trade and connectivity. Efficient infrastructure is crucial for business to operate smoothly and compete globally. Education and skills development. This is the primary goal or to be prioritized by the government. It is what we call human capital. Government invests in education, trainings, and research to develop the skills. A highly skilled workforce is essential for innovation, productivity, and competitiveness in knowledge-based economies. Research and development. Governments support research and development through funding, tax incentives, and partnerships with businesses. This innovation, technological advancement, and creation of new industries. The other influence competitiveness like currency and monetary policies like central banks. Diplomatic and trade relations for strong international relationships. Taxation and incentives, tax policies and investment incentives, protection of intellectual property to assure global partners of fair trade practices. Business regulations. The governments establish regulations to ensure the fair competition, protection of consumers, and promote environmental sustainability. Rule of law. A strong legal framework, including property rights and contract enforcement, is essential for businesses to operate with confidence and attract investment. We have examples of government influence. First, the Singapore. Singapore's success as a global hub is attributed to its pro-business policies, efficient infrastructures, a highly skilled workforce. China's rapid economic growth is partly due to its government focus on attracting FDI, developing infrastructure, and promoting innovation. Germany's strong manufacturing sector is supported by skilled workforce, robust infrastructure, and a government that prioritizes research and development. To conclude, governments play a vital role in shaping a nation's competitiveness in a globalized economy by implementing effective economic policies, investing in infrastructure, fostering innovation, and creating a stable and business-friendly environment. Governments can empower their countries to compete successfully on the global stage.
I am Rahima Lidasan. Brief History of Globalization. Globalization, the increasing interconnectedness of nations through trade, technology, and cultural exchange, has a long and complex history, not a single starting point. Different scholars divide its history into various periods, emphasizing different aspects. The earliest forms of globalization can be traced back thousands of years. Trade routes like the Silk Road and the spice routes connected distant civilizations, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. Silk Road was an ancient network of trade routes that connected China with the Middle East, Europe, and parts of Africa. It was begun during the Han Dynasty of China and it was around 2nd century BCE. And active for over 1,500 years, especially flourishing under the Tang and Mongol empires. So why Silk Road? It was named for the lucrative Chinese silk trade, highly prized in Europe and the Middle East. And other goods includes spices, tea, jade, porcelain, gold, glassware, and more. The Silk Road laid the foundation for later forms of globalization by proving that distant societies could be interconnected through trade, diplomacy, and culture. These early forms of globalization were limited in scope, primarily involving luxury goods and a relatively small number of participants. The Islamic Golden Age, 7th to 15th centuries, also played a significant role, with Muslim traders establishing extensive trade networks across the Old World, spreading crops, knowledge, and technology, and they adapt nowadays. Like scholars from diverse backgrounds, Arabs, Persians, Christians, Indians, and etc., collaborated in centers like Baghdad's House of Wisdom. Classical Greek, Roman, Persian, and Indian texts were translated into Arabic, preserving and enhancing global knowledge in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy. And the use of a common language, which is the Arabic, currency, and legal systems help integrate markets, similar to how globalization today relies international standards and cooperation. To summarize this, the Islamic Golden Age was prototype of globalization, demonstrating how diverse cultures, economies, and knowledge systems can interact productively. It reminds us that global interconnectedness is not new, but a continuation of historical patterns of exchange and cooperation. Porto-globalization, which is the age of discovery, marked a turning point. European exploration and colonization led to increased global trade and the Columbian Exchange, a vast transfer of plants, animals, and diseases between the old and the new worlds. This period saw the rise of chartered companies, early forms of multinational corporations. Porto-globalization, Porto or Portugal more broadly. Porto, located in northern Portugal along the Atlantic coast, was one of the country's major maritime centers. It serves as a launching point for ships, playing a vital role in Portugal's expansion. The Age of Discovery turned Porto and other Portuguese cities into hubs of trade and cross-cultural interactions. It also lays the groundwork for European colonialism and the global networks that define globalization today. In summary, globalization is an ongoing process with a long history marked by periods of expansion shaped by technological advancements, political events, and economic forces. Another history is ancient trade networks, where complex system of exchange that connected different civilizations, enabling the movement of goods, ideas, cultures, and technologies across vast distances. These networks played a crucial role in shaping early societies economically, politically, and culturally. It includes first the geographically rich, for example, the Silk Road connected to China to the Mediterranean, while the Indian Ocean trade routes linked East Africa, the Middle East, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. And is the goods traded. Trade was not limited to luxury goods, it also included food, tools, and everyday materials. Third is cultural exchange. Along with those luxury goods, trade routes facilitated the spread of religions like Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity, languages, art, and scientific knowledge. Fourth is the political and economic influence. Cities and empires along trade routes grew wealthy and powerful, such as the Roman Empire, Persian Empire, and Han China. Lastly is the technological developments and social impact. Trade networks led to urbanization, the rise of merchant classes, and sometimes the exploitation of labor and rise of slavery. Age of exploration, European voyages of discovery led to increased global interactions, colonialism, and establishment of new trade routes. This era saw the rise of an economic system focused on accumulating wealth through trade.
Hello everyone, I am Jameleta Handula and I will present to you other histories of globalization. We have here the first wave of globalization, spanning from the 19th century to World War I, was shaped by several transformative developments. The Industrial Revolution played a crucial role by introducing technological advancement in transportation and communication, which significantly reduced trade costs and enhanced global interconnectedness. Simultaneously, the push of free trade and the adoption of gold standard fostered the creation of a more integrated global economy, laying foundations for the economic structures that we recognize today. Additionally, European imperialism exerted extensive political and economic control over vast territories, further incorporating these regions into the global system. This wave of globalization set the stage for the late interwar period during 1914 to 1945, a time of transition and redefinition in global relations. Next, we have the second wave of globalization, spanning from the post-World War II era to the present. It has been characterized by several significant developments that have reshaped the global economy and the society. First, the establishment of the Bretton Woods system aimed to create a stable international monetary framework and promote free trade. This led to the creation of key institutions like the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, and the World Bank, which facilitated international economic cooperation. Technological advancements, particularly in information and communication technologies, or ICT, during the latter half of the 20th century, including the advent of the Internet, drastically lowered communication costs and enabled the globalization of production, finance, and services, surpassing earlier methods of global interactions. The rise of multinational corporations further amplified this wave as companies expanded operations worldwide and established complex international production networks. Additionally, this period witnessed increased capital flows, intensified cultural exchanges, and digital revolution. It exemplified by innovations like smartphones, which further connected individuals and economies across the globe. These elements collectively underpin the modern era of globalization.
Hello everyone, my name is Bianisaisa S. Kasim. Brief history of globalization broken into key phases. Number 1, ancient globalization before 1500s, Silk Road 200 BCE or before Common Era to 1400s, trade routes connected China, the Middle East, and the Europe. Roman Empire and ancient civilizations, exchange of goods, culture, and ideas across continents. Number 2, early modern globalization, 1500s to 1800s, age of exploration, European powers like Spain, Portugal, Britain, and etc. colonized Asia, Africa, and Americas. Mercantilism, nations sought wealth through trade, leading to the rise of global empires and the transatlantic slave trade. Number 3, industrial globalization, 1800s to World War I, industrial revolution, mass production and improved transport like railways and steamships, increased international trade. Number 4, interwar decline, 1914 to 1945. World wars and the Great Depression led to protectionism and reduced global trade and cooperation. Number 5, modern globalization, 1945 to 1990s. Post-World War II recovery, institutions like IMF or the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and GATT or the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade, later WTO or the World Trade Organization, promoted global trade. Cold War era divided world, but globalization grew in capitalist economies. Multinational corporations began expanding globally. And last but not the least, number 6, contemporary globalization, 1990s to present. Digital revolution, internet, and tech innovation enabled faster global communication and commerce. Rising economies, countries like China, India, and Brazil became major global players. Challenges, inequality, climate change, nationalism, and pandemics like COVID-19 have complicated globalization.